The European Union must significantly accelerate cuts to greenhouse gas emissions if it's to hit its own climate targets. That's the first ever report by the European Climate Neutrality Observatory, tracking a wide range of sectors to assess the bloc's progress. It says that while measures are going in the right direction, they are lagging far behind what's required, and that Brussels needs to increase green investments by around $400 billion per year. Well, Michael Mehling is the Deputy Director of the Centre for Energy and Environmental Policy Research at MIT, and he joins us now. Thank you very much indeed. It's good to see you again, Michael. So what do you make of this report, and would you agree with the major strengths and weaknesses identified in the EU's efforts?
Well, thanks for having me. Yes, I would agree. I've been a long-term observer of European climate policy. It is, of course, in many ways a leader compared to the efforts of many other countries around the world, including the United States, in terms of the ambition of climate policy. It's pioneered a lot of policies. But I also agree with some of the shortcomings, some of the areas where things are not progressing as fast as they should.
And the report also evaluates the functioning of the governance systems related to climate neutrality. What do you think the key observations and recommendations were?
Well, so the report paints a pretty positive picture. I think it rightly reflects the fact that the EU, as you probably know from reporting on European climate policy, has just gone through a tremendous process of adding new rules and expanding sort of the overall governance framework with the European Green Deal, with the Fit for 55 legislative and policy package. So there's no shortage of rules, regulations, guidance documents, etc., that really paint a pretty clear picture what Europe is looking to achieve, where it's headed, and also builds in certain monitoring and sort of review processes to ensure that Europe remains on track. For instance, an independent scientific advisory body to keep, if you like, the EU honest in its own assessment of progress. That said, you know, there's still a few shortfalls in individual member states, but overall I think the EU does present a really interesting and compelling picture in terms of the governance of this broad, massive transition.
And what kind of challenges do they have on their plate? What are the most significant challenges that the EU faces in its journey to climate neutrality, and how are they effectively trying to address these?
So the report looks at a lot of different individual sectors and also some cross-cutting areas. And it does highlight, as you already mentioned, that in some areas the pace of change, of progress is too slow. In some areas it's really far too slow, and in a few areas it's even going in the wrong direction. Let me start maybe with those last ones. So in the broad sort of area of climate finance and investment, it observes that there's just not enough investment, and in some cases funding is still going to the wrong purposes. For instance, additional fossil fuel infrastructure, generation assets, etc. Also with a specific technology, carbon capture and sequestration and carbon dioxide removals, there the EU is simply not engaging fast enough, aggressively enough. Other areas like transportation, the electricity sector, industry, things are moving in the right direction, but too slowly. So there's not enough investment, there's not enough effort and focus put in those sectors. So the report suggests a number of improvements that could be done or could be taken forward by the EU to accelerate progress. But of course, as we know, there's reasons why things are going slowly. Often it's just politically very difficult, funds are scarce, so it won't be easy to fix sort of the observations that the report puts out.
But if they are going to speed up that pace, if they're going to sharpen that focus, how important would international cooperation beyond the EU's borders be in terms of collaborating with other countries, other nations, other organisations?
Well, the fact of the matter is, even if the EU managed to fix all those shortcomings and become sort of get straight A's across the board in this periodic review, it's still only a small share of global emissions. And the global climate problem cannot be solved without getting other countries with vastly different circumstances and sort of socioeconomic realities to progress as well. If you're a country like India or a country in sub-Saharan Africa, priorities will be dramatically different, as will capacities and resources available for the energy transition. And so one of the most important things that you can do is work in tandem with other countries around the world to assist them, to help them accelerate and leapfrog, if you like, some of the development stages that the EU went through to go from heavy industry and pollution to straight to clean industries, clean transportation, etc., clean electricity. But that takes investment that those countries often don't have. So things like just energy transition partnerships with a growing number of countries is a way to try and engage those countries that don't have the resources, don't have the means to leapfrog the way the EU is right now. And I think we'll need more of that going forward. As we've seen in the climate negotiations, the gap between the more wealthy, the more advanced countries and the poorer countries in the world is only expanding. So this is really a major challenge.
Michael Mehling, great to get your thoughts. Thank you so much.